I think we're going to go ahead and start. If Ms. Mills is able to come, she will. Um, so my name is Todd Kaplan. I'm an attorney at Greater Boston Legal Services, and I'm going to make some introductory remarks, as will retired Judge Bailey, who's from Pioneer Legal Public Interest Legal Group, and he'll introduce himself as well. I think the purpose of this press conference is both to thank the legislature for delivering on solutions for homeowners who are currently stuck in situations where the tax arrears are accumulating 16% interest and they have no good solutions for paying back their taxes. And the legislature has delivered, and lowering the interest rate from 16% to 8%, and creating the options for local communities to stabilize their communities by creating better repayment plans. For example, they've reduced the down payment on a payment plan from 25% to 10%. They have extended the length of a repayment plan to up to 10 years, and they allow for 100% of the interest on arrears to be wiped out, to be released. And this is huge for people, not only Ms. Mills in Springfield and the other two people that are on this call, but for homeowners across the state. But we have only two things that need to be done here. One, of course, is for the governor to sign this bill, sign the budget, and keep these. And the second is for local communities to adopt these repayment plans. I'm here in front of Springfield. Springfield currently only offers a 4-year payment plan, 25% down payment, and a release of 50% of the interest. And that's for a very narrow set of people. If you're a homeowner in Springfield and you don't fit into some very narrow categories, then you are not eligible for that repayment plan. So we're calling on Springfield and every other community in Massachusetts, every other municipality, to provide as wide as solutions as possible. The legislature is giving you the tools. We expect the governor to sign this budget as with these provisions, and we're asking communities to make it easier for people to stay in their homes and stay in these communities. The people that we're talking about are what we call house rich and cash poor. They don't have mortgages on their homes. Otherwise, the mortgage company can step in and pay those tax arrears. So these are people that often have inherited the property or paid off their mortgage, stayed in their home for many, many decades, or if it's in a family home, maybe even generations. And we need better solutions to keep people in their home. And the governor to sign this budget, and asking local communities to create better solutions for people with tax arrears. I'm going to hand it over to Judge Bailey, Pioneer, to give his opening remarks, and then we'll go on to the individuals that are on the call here.
Good morning, and I wish I could be with you in Springfield, Todd, or in Medford, or and I want to offer my thanks to Ms. Campbell and to Mr. Johnson. Do I have that right, Mr. Johnson? Right?
Yes.
Thank you. I want to thank you personally for making time for us today on this very important issue. You're thinking about not only yourselves, but everyone else that's in families that are in your position. So I'm the president of Pioneer Public Interest Law Center. We have partnered with Greater Boston Legal Services and with the law firm of Greenberg Traurig, the law firm of Morgan Lewis, over the last year plus, all the way from the U.S. Supreme Court, where we sought to end this, what we call equity theft. The Supreme Court agreed with our position in that case, and we're trying to bring it home now to Massachusetts and to any other states in New England that still apply this law. I want to express my thanks to the members of the House and Senate who answered the call over an extended period of time. This is a very complicated piece of legislation, but we feel quite good about the changes that are present in the budget with respect to equity theft. Todd has identified the most important of those, I think, and I will. The one thing I will underscore that he said is that it's now up to local communities, cities, and towns to step up and adopt the tools that have been given to you in this legislation in order to make it possible for people to hold on to their homes, which in many cases they've owned for generations, and they'll only be able to do that if the Springfields and the Maldens and other communities step up and pass these as local ordinances. I want to highlight one last piece of this bill that I think is critical. And again, I commend the legislators for including it, and that is that the excess equity in the event there is some, if for some reason that those dollars are not, if they cannot find the person to whom those dollars belong, the money goes into unclaimed funds, and that will cause the state and S&Es of the state to go out and try to find these people to make sure they and their children, enjoy the benefit of the excess equity. It's provisions like that and the better notices that we think will bring our state legislation in compliance with what the Supreme Court told us had to be the case in the Tyler decision. So again, it's a happy day, but there's more work to do on this. So thank you, Todd. I'll mute myself now.
So with that said, Ms. Campbell, did you want to talk a little bit about yourself and how these how you have worked to reduce your tax arrears, and then we can have Mr. Johnson do the same, and then we can open it up for questions.
Hi, I'm honored to be here, speak not only for myself, but for my community here in Quincy. There are a lot of homeowners like myself. I had experienced a lot of difficulties in the last couple of years. I love living here in Quincy. I first realized that I was behind in my arrears in 2022. No, 2023, my apologies, 2023. And within that time, when I first found out, I passed out knowing or thinking that I was about to lose my home. I came down to City Hall, and I want to give Molly Smith a big thanks. She encouraged me and said to me, if I could come down with 25%, which was extremely hard, it was a struggle, but I did it. Came down with 25%, and I paid it down. As the months went by, I came down to City Hall with whatever I had. Forget about the food, forget about anything that I had to do, but I continue coming down. It was a great amount, but I am proud to say that from that amount, I brought it down to half or maybe less than half. I'm working hard. I'm pleading to the city councilors, to the representative, Mayor Kush, save us, sign this bill, not only for me, but for other homeowners that are in the same situation. I'm still in therapy from this. I don't blame no one. It is my responsibility, but I do need the help. I need the 16% to be lowered down, the down payment to be lowered down to the interest that has accumulated to be lowered down, even to do a repayment that is affordable, not only for myself, but for others in my community. We need your help. Massachusetts, all over Massachusetts, people are starving themselves, becoming homeless. We can't afford no more homelessness. Not here. This is Massachusetts. We the people supposed to feel safe. We the people supposed to have a home without being worried about how we're gonna pay this high interest rate. How we gonna come down with 25%? How we gonna pay a payment plan?
I'm afraid we lost the line, Todd.
Yeah, that's why I'm worried. I'm worried that we lost it. Sorry. I'm gonna ask. I don't have the number of the person that's there, so I'm gonna ask Maddie to reach out to Mac there and see what's going on. But in the meantime, we're gonna probably I just want to say one thing while we're waiting for them to restore this. The one thing that is really important to highlight here is that currently Medford does not offer any repayment plan that reduces the interest owed. These are local options that that they have to adopt, and we're begging every municipality we're encouraging and begging every municipality to adopt measures that will help people. There's no reason why they can't do this. As Ms. Campbell said, Medford is not fighting her, but they're not helping her. They say, here's your 25% down payment, but in that particular plan that they're offering, they're not releasing any of the interest. And they are not offering 10-year payment plans or whatever they can now do. They're not even offering 5-year payment plans, which are available today. So we're begging every community to think, now we've given them the tools to stabilize their community, implement these tools. So why don't we jump to Medford right now while we're trying to get Ms. Campbell back on the line. Okay. Maddie, do you want? Wait a second. Uh-oh. Okay, so we're having problems in Quincy because of the computer might have overheated, but we're gonna tell him to jump onto his phone. In any case, let's go ahead to Medford, if that's possible. Mr. Johnson, can you hear me? Go ahead, please. Go ahead, please.
My name is Clinton Johnson. I'm a resident of 21 Sharon Street in Medford, Mass. I've been here over 70 years, and I've been working all my life. And also that, it's been rough. I'm trying to make it better. I'm even currently looking to go back to work to try to resolve this problem that I have. I'm not much of a politician, so I don't know what to say or how to put it in contact, but I'll do the best I can. And shoot, I know I owe, and I'm not blaming anyone because it's my fault. I should have been more on the ball, but I wasn't. And I'm trying to get it right now. And I have no problem of doing whatever it takes to make the situation better. And I hopefully that works out for a lot of people in my same position, because it's not easy out here trying to put it together when everything is so costly. And there's nothing that we can say or do to change that. Well, we may be able to, but so far there hasn't been a solution. But if we can get this legislation through, that would definitely help us all. And that's what I need, is some help. And hopefully we can do that through the legislation and City Hall. Everybody come together. That seems to be the problem of the political scene, because if they're not working together, then you get no results. And that's been the problem for the last 20, 30 years at least. And we can do better if we get together to do better. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Mr. Johnson, how long, can I just ask how long you've been in your home?
I've been there approximately 50, 60 years. 60 years.
Right. And
And-
you, you and I have discussed, do you have a plan or what you think the only way that you can currently try and pull this down is by going back to work? Is that correct?
Oh yeah, well, like I said, I'm planning to go back to work. If they'll hire me, I'm almost 80 years old. I don't know if they want to hire a old guy, but I'll go back to employment office and see if I get a part-time job, because I have no problems of trying to pay back for what I owe. You know,
And currently, I know that we looked at this yesterday. You owe about $24,000 in interest, and Medford does not currently have any plans that allow them to waive the interest. So would it help you if they adopted these measures that allow them to waive all the interest?
of course it would. It'd make the burden that less.
Yeah.
It would be a lot better.
All right, thank you. And I think Ms. Campbell's back on. So I guess the same question.
Todd,
Yep.
if I
Go
could,
ahead, please. Go ahead.
just one quick question that I would like to ask Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson, I know you, sounds like you owe $24,000 or so in interest, but and I commend you for your willingness to go back to work, if that's possible. Being of your generation, I know that could be can be challenging. But I do have this question: do you have any idea what your house in Medford is worth?
No, I do not. But they say, I've heard that everything in Medford is around $1 million. That's what I heard. But when you look at my house, it needs repairs. So that's all I know.
It's
And,
worth a lot more than it's worth a lot more than $24,000,
oh yeah,
isn't it?
that's correct.
Right.
Right.
That's all I wanted to understand from it, because
Oh yeah.
Medford is yeah, it's a great
Well,
community and things are worth a lot. So
I think it's worth highlighting that this legislation fixes something that has been a huge problem in Massachusetts for decades, if not a century, which is that prior to this legislation and prior to the Supreme Court deciding in Tyler that it was unconstitutional to take people's homes and not give them their equity, Mr. Johnson would have lost all of his equity. And that could have been Medford or Quincy or any of these communities. could have sold the tax title to a debt buyer who would be able to reap the entire windfall and give Mr. Johnson nothing. That is huge win in this legislation that they fixed this and made sure that, God forbid, somebody loses their home to tax foreclosure. They, you know, they might be sick, they might be in hospital, they might be unable to pay their arrears, that the equity in their home will go back to them. And that is a huge change in the landscape here. It's been a long time coming. A lot of people have lost their homes in the past, and it's about time that people stop losing their homes and losing all of their equity. Ms. Campbell, did you, I'm sorry we cut you off because we had a technical problem. I think one of the questions I have for you, Ms. Campbell, is if Quincy offered a repayment plan that wiped away the interest, would that help you?
I would have to say, yes, it will help me as long as it's something that is affordable and it won't put a bigger hole in my pocket.
Absolutely. So
so
even
that-
a longer payment plan, like a 10-year payment plan that knocked off all the interest, would that help you?
Yeah, yes, it will. And that's why I'm asking the city councilors and the representative of Quincy and Mayor Kush to please sign this bill.
Very good. All right, so I just want to open it up for questions from the press or anything else on the call.
We say if y'all have any questions.
Okay,
Y'all
so I
have
just,
any questions?
No, thank
Good.
you. It worked great. That was excellent.
good.
Thank
I
you.
just want to see if we have anyone on the call that might, because I know that Mr. Murphy, and just in case you had any questions or anyone else in the press. All right.
Well, I forgot to add that, you know, I had a medical condition, had a heart issue, and I've been out of commission for over 4 years. You know, so that's another thing that put me behind in my payments in my life. You know, I'm just beginning the last year to get back on my feet. So it's been tough, you know, and that goes for me and everyone else in this situation.
Absolutely.
And that's all I have to say.
All right, well, I just want to make sure if there's any other questions from the media, we can conclude unless there's any other questions. I also want to say that if we had both our Judge Bailey and my contacts and community legal aid's contacts are on the press release. Community legal aid is representing Miss Mills here, who lives here in Springfield in the land court. That case is still pending, even though a Superior Court judge has declared the tax foreclosure process unconstitutional for Ms. Mills. So everybody is in limbo, and what people really need, number one, is for the governor to sign his budget, including these provisions, and number two, for local communities to work with their residents, to work with people who have tax arrears and ensure that they have the maximum flexibility in creating plans that work for the community and work for the homeowner, stabilize their homes.
Todd, if I could, I would like to add one last thing from my perspective, and that is that the municipalities involved, the cities and towns, they can rest assured they will be paid, including any interest, that unless they negotiate with the homeowner. they will be paid because most of our clients don't have mortgages on their property. And so the city or town comes first, as you can hear from Mr. Johnson. You know, he has owned his home for many, many years. There is no doubt, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in equity. And ultimately, they will get paid. And so it's best if they can work with families in the community that, for one reason or another, have fallen behind on their taxes for a whole variety of reasons that we all need to understand.
And I should just highlight, sorry to just re-highlight something we did not mention, which is that the legislation provides better notices so that people understand from the beginning that their home is in danger of being taken. And that the process up until now was completely opaque and honestly counterintuitive. Who would think sometimes for as little as $500, $2,000 of back taxes that the city or town would go ahead and start foreclosing on your home? And go ahead, do it. And you would get nothing. That is crazy. That's counterintuitive, and no one would. That's why people often didn't respond, because they wouldn't believe that was the process. Well, that process is over. But the next thing that has to happen is communities have to work with people to keep them in their homes. And this legislation, if it's signed by the governor, will create an incredible plethora of tools to keep people in their homes. So thank you very much. All right, I think unless we have any more questions, we're going to end this. The recording should be available. You can email us if you want a link to the recording. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you, Ms.
everybody.
Campbell and Mr. Johnson. Really appreciate it.
May I put a microphone on you?
Sure.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep you in the shade.